Kubor Nakashlem Jong Nongsan Hima.
Kashlem Trekam Jong District Election Office East Khasi Hills. Kalapanong ya ka jingya lang bat kilat patay kubor halor ka jingya day jong kilat patay kubor bat ka election ka banwan. Ya kanila panong hapo ka office jong ka Deputy Commissioner Shalong mentakasngi kasaw tarik ukalalingkod arhajar arpulay. Haba ay jingkran hagani kasngi nakalyang ka Additional Deputy Commissioner kakong di kharshiyeng kalabatay halor ki hukum balabatha da ka Supreme Court bat kilat patay ki habban buat kat kum ki kendon ha karukom sapriang ya ki kubor. Nakalyang Assistant Deputy Commissioner kasaluni Verma kala ay jihikai na kabanta ki nong tray ki batray ki shlam kubor bat punong ru da ka seminar halor ka jingya day jong ki lat patay kubor bat ka sign patay bat ka kermen bakum ki nong tray jong ki shlam nong thok kubor ki day bandan ka jingkit kli ka baya day bat ki jat kubor ki baya so bat ka election.
As you all know, elections are coming up, so we need to give you a little bit of advisory regarding all the advertisements, paid news, because we want a free and fair election. Okay. So in the DEO office, we have this MCMC committee, which is the Media Monitoring Committee, which is led by the District Election Officer. And we have members from the Superintendent of Police. We also have some journalists and representatives from DDK Shillong and representatives from All India Radio Shillong. Further instructions from DCI, as per the Honorable Supreme Court order, any cable operator is prohibited for transmitting any advertisement which is not in conformity with prescribed program code and advertisement code. Any advertisement carried in cable service shall be designed so as to conform to the laws of the country and should not offend morality, decency and religious susceptibility of subscribers. No advertisement shall be permitted which derides race, caste, color, etc. and is against provision of Constitution of India. We have a media certification and monitoring cell here in the District Election Officer's office here in East Khasi Hills District. And the objective is to pre-certify all advertisements by the political parties before it goes on air or before it's been printed. Okay? So the returning officer of the parliamentary constituency or the assembly constituency concerned will entertain the applications for certification of advertisements. The applications for advertisement will be coming from the political parties or the candidates itself. So after the certification only, they can air the advertisement or they can get the advertisement printed and published. Okay.
Difference between news and advertisement. So the simple difference that the Press Council of India gives is that news usually carries a credit line with it. A byline is also seen in a news piece, and it has a typeface that is different from that of an advertisement. So anything which disguises itself as news but is not really news would be considered as paid news. This is a little bit of history about political parties and how they came to a consensus about why paid news should be regulated. So why paid news is a problem? I think as members of the media, as responsible members of the media, it's important that we ensure that we give correct information to people, that people are not misled, because elections, which are the tenet of our democracy, rely on people exercising the right to vote in a fair and free manner. And I think the media is supremely crucial for that. So they can influence voters and have an undue influence actually. And it can also circumvent the elections expenditure laws. Basically, the fairness of an election gets compromised because of paid news. Any news which is done for a consideration in cash or kind. Now that is the simple definition, right? So if somebody has paid a media house to put out a news and not an advertisement, that is paid news, right? So, and like he rightly said, anything which is, let's say, too glorified. For example, if a news piece is more like XYZ will sweep the votes because they've done such brilliant work, that is likely to be seen as suspicious. Of course, you're right that there will be exclusive stories on candidates, but there's a difference between reporting, which is, okay, so and so was done, highlighting what they did, and perhaps, let's say, trying to project it in a positive or a negative light, so on and so forth. So if those value judgments could be kept minimum, that would not be suspicious, of course. But if it's objective reporting on somebody, I don't think it should be so much of an issue. I hope that helps a little bit. So, given that there is no legal definition per se of paid news, we expect that as responsible members of the media, there will be self-regulation from the end of media to not engage in this practice of paid news, to be responsible in the kind of journalism we're doing. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for listening. Also, we also would like to talk a little bit about the specific provisions under which, so for example, if there is a election pamphlet, poster or an advertisement in any newspaper which does not carry the name and address of the printer or the publisher, this can be taken up with the RO for necessary action. And if the advertisement, let's say, has not been sanctioned by the candidate, but it's still been put out, then under section 171H of IPC also there are certain provisions for violation of the same. Our office side, MCMC will do two things. One is that we will certify any political advertisements that can be shown on electronic media. So there's an entire procedure for that where candidates have to apply through the MCMC. And only when that permission is given can political ad be carried out. But secondly, more importantly, for the purpose of paid news, if we get to know that there is a certain news which has been published and which is of a paid nature, we will be then intimating the returning officer of that constituency. And if it is proven and if it is conclusive from the MCMC side that it was in fact paid, this will be accounted for in the candidate's election expenses. But as for media, in case of, so if the case is decided as paid news, the print media cases will be sent to the Election Commission of India. These bodies or newspapers, whoever they are, they'll be told, we'll tell that the ECI that this is the newspaper which is responsible. And then action will be taken by the Press Council of India against the media house. In case it is related to electronic media, then instead of the Press Council of India, we will be referring it to the ECI, and then the ECI and the National Broadcasters Association will be taking action against the concerned electronic media house. So here are some illustrations of what can count as paid news. Of course, these are more for generating awareness in the public. I think as media houses, you will be knowing this far more better, even better than perhaps we know. But essentially how there are certain articles which will talk about how a certain candidate is likely to win and others do not stand a chance, if there are no credit lines or bylines, or if there are same bylines in different competing newspapers as well. So these are some illustrations over here. These are self-explanatory. You can